Hello and welcome everyone to Live from Beyond. Tonight is a short episode where we will be breaking down the recent Eternal Lies section that we've been doing in the Yucatan. Just to give you a quick idea, super fast, we are playing a lot of games, but the game we've been playing the most is a Trail of Cthulhu game. Trail of Cthulhu is a system by Kenneth Haidt from Pelgrane Press, and we're doing a module called Eternal Lies, which is written by a few gentlemen, which we're a little bit unsure of, perhaps. It seems like Kenneth Haidt may have been involved, but we have Will Hindmarch, Jeff Tidball, and Jeremy Keller also contributing, and we have our friend Justin Alexander from the Alexandrian, who has rehashed the adventure in the form that we're using, basically. And our illustrious GM, Kevin, has been running this for a while now, on and off, maybe a year and a half. Sending us little clues in the mail or hand delivering them, and just generally keeping the mystery alive. And with me is that GM and also several of the players from the game who can go ahead and introduce themselves.
Am I supposed to go first?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm Kevin, and I'm the GM.
That's about it.
Yeah. Okay.
I play, hey everybody, my name's Alex. I play Damon Smoke, the investigator, who I normally like to say hasn't gone insane yet, but this may not be true at this point in time.
I don't think that's true for any of us, really.
Hello everybody, my name is Kim, and I'll say I guess played Gus Allen, the pilot, who was recently skewered, and we might not see very much of him anymore.
Hello, I'm Andrew. I am playing Harvey Cohen, who is beginning to question many of his decisions leading up to the past.
Okay.
And I'm Aaron, and I play Fritz Dreckner, who's the antiquarian and tries to talk the group through various things that go on, monsters they run into.
Awesome.
If only Fritz could have warned us.
About
Well,
what?
he could have. He chose not to.
No. I'm pretty sure I made it abundantly clear, and by I mean Fritz, made it abundantly clear that no matter how bad the monster in the woods was, the top of the pyramid was going to be worse. Like, no questions, going to be worse, and everyone was like, look, that monster is awfully scary.
All right. Well, why don't we get into the recap?
Yes. So, for those of you who have not been diligently watching for the last year and a half, the real fast recap of Eternal Lies itself is a group of investigators sent after some cult history, just trying to find out basically what happened to our benefactor's father back in the 1920s, and some weird run-ins that he had with the cult. Well, the 20s is when the 20s is when it first happened. And we've seen a lot of things. We've been to an insane asylum. We've gotten beaten up in Los Angeles. We've had
Well, Kitty got beat up.
yeah. All right. Well, listen. I'm just
saying Harvey didn't get beat up.
trying to glaze over it a little bit.
Harvey handled it. That's all I'm saying.
There was some pornography. There was a weird orgy with mouths and this nectar stuff, and we blew it up. We've basically just been, confronted with some real awful shit that's been going on underneath the bowels of the earth, and a couple of cults who seem to be competing over which god is the real god and which one can help them bring about, prosperity / the end of the world / whatever it is they're really looking for. And our journey has taken us past LA, through Mexico City, and to the Yucatan, where we spent the last 4, I think, sessions doing something like that, doing some stuff. And I was hoping that our resident investigator professional, Damon Smoke, could briefly tell us what happened in the Yucatan.
All right. Well, so the group early in the Yucatan, we end up leaving Mexico as we all recover from our previous injuries, and both mental and physical. As we end up getting to the Yucatan, we meet with a benefactor who convinces us to take a porter. So Pablo Garzo as our guide, and a whole bunch of his porters, into the jungle where the previous expedition of is it Jonathan Brooks?
Jonathan Brooks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of Jonathan Brooks is headed out about 3 weeks ago. So we're a few weeks behind on their trail, and we're heading to the Zutsul ruins.
Ruins?
I guess. Yeah. So yeah, we talked to La Vega. He convinces us to go. It's actually at this point it's the 5 of us plus Kitty's new boyfriend Santiago, plus the guide Pablo Garzo, and a whole bunch of porters. Maybe I don't know, 5 or 6 porters, 10 porters, who are like carrying everything. So as we head deep into the jungle, we find the closest thing resembling to a road. We find a truck that has been there for a little bit of time. We end up running multiple times into Zoksul carvings, which serve as warning symbols that convince our guide that bad things are going to happen. We end up getting a warning from Garzo on multiple occasions that things go bad, but we essentially strong-arm him into taking us anyway. There's
We're
a
not
few.
very good at listening to warnings, just in general.
There's a few slips and falls, and we find another obelisk that talks about Goxumal. And we don't know that it's Goxumal at the time, except Pablo slips up the word Goxumal during when he sees it, and we're like, Goxumal? So as we move a little forward, ignoring all sorts of warnings, we get ambushed by a whole bunch of cultists. Porters die. We get shot at dozens and dozens of times. We end up running away, essentially kind of every man for himself, but the group manages to regroup and also take a hostage at the same time. Talking to the cultist hostage, we find out that he is a follower of Goxumal, and he tells us that we're on hallowed ground and that he's to be revered. We end up reaching a pyramid, which is currently displayed on the screen. And that pyramid is essentially, as we're there, we see that there's lots of bodies all over, and we find out that it's a previous expedition, and the bodies are like half-eaten. They're definitely by some sort of like crazy animals.
And they're also
Or
missing their
something.
heads.
I'm sorry. Yes, I forgot to mention that we witnessed the cultists cutting off heads, and all the bodies that we find are missing heads, and they are like half-eaten. While we're standing there discussing this to some degree, we see a monster off in the woods, and to our surprise, the monster takes on different shape. To Damon, it's a big, I don't even know, like a tongue monster. I know to Kitty, he just showed up as like a Spanish conquistador. To Fritz, he had big teeth and something along those lines. So he just showed up as different to everybody else. So that was the group runs up the pyramid and takes refuge in the pyramid. There are carvings all over, and there's a hatch. There's a carving on the floor, and as we half accidentally, half on purpose, bleed on top of it, it ends up opening up to reveal a hatch where we hear, crying or something at that line. At the same time, Garzo makes his way up the pyramid to say that our guide, to say that he barely escaped the ambush. So inside the hatch is. Did we get his name? Was that?
We did, but I
Harv.
don't think
It was
Harv.
I don't
Wasn't
know.
it
It doesn't matter. There's a guy in there.
Yeah, there's a guy in
Alvaro or
there,
something?
and he's half insane,
Alvaro.
and Alvaro, yeah, he's half insane, and he is from the expedition. So according to him, he's actually been trapped for about an hour, so he's very freshly shaken from the ambush, from the monster, all this other stuff. And we're like, hey, guy, that was like 3 weeks ago. And so it gets dark outside, and we decide to fortify this position as opposed to trek the jungle. As we're doing that, the group looks around and looks at the carvings to realize that there's a sequence of events that we read in order where the pyramid was stolen, then it was built. Then the Mayans conquered it from the Tzotzil, and the Tzotzil conquered it back, which is a strange event since it was stolen before it was built. So we were like, oh, whoa, time travel? Maybe, who knows? And then this guy shows up who happens to be happens from the old expedition an hour ago, or to us it was 3 weeks. So Fritz and Gus and Harvey end up studying these relics, and they find out that we can actually teleport, or we can move somehow following a certain path. And so, following a certain path, the group decides that we nobody warns us, and so we decide that now's the time to do this ritual and move forward to wherever the next path is of this. And so we do. And so the group ends up moving multiple times through crazy dimensions where the skies are different colors, there's creatures of some sorts. We all slowly go insane, all the characters, and finally we end up with where... What's his name?
It's not so slow that we go insane,
god.
but Golgoroth?
You end up on
Golgoroth.
Goxamal itself.
Goxamal, yeah.
Goxamal,
So
yeah,
we
that's right.
finally ran into Goxamal Insane. He can only communicate with us through our own memories and feelings and such, so it gets really weird. But he tells us essentially that there are false... in his own way, he describes that there's like false gods trying to imitate him to some degree, and that we should help him stop it, or we should stop him. And so, but in order to hop back, he needs to sacrifice. Gus volunteers after some shady stuff happens.
We tried to help somebody else volunteer, and it didn't work out.
He was dying. Harvey was like, you know what? You volunteer. And then Gus was like, I'll be the tribute.
Yeah, so let's slam into that action right now. I want to hear, and Kevin, you are always free to jump in as the GM, although I know sometimes you're wary of giving things away. But how did everybody feel about Gus Allen sacrificing himself to the damnation, just to try and help us maybe rescue the Earth? And I think we have to start with Gus Allen himself. How was it, Gus?
It was fine. I don't know. I think it made sense for me. Well, first of all, because Gus was a little down in the dumps as far as sanity and stability is concerned. I thought his story, as far as his connection to the adventure, I guess supposed relation to. What's his name? Echevarria had kind of been explored as far as it was going to be explored. So I don't know. I don't feel bad about Gus going the way of Goxamal.
I mean, I thought he had a real future in porn, based
so?
on his Echevarria connection. But if it was more important for him to sacrifice himself. How did you feel, GM? You've been waiting a long time, actually, for one of us to get picked off.
Well, okay. So, first of all, I'll say that I think there is more to the Echevarria connection for Gus, but I think that it can possibly be explored in other ways. We could always end up with another character that looks exactly like Echevarria.
Taught him all he knows.
Yeah.
Landfill too.
Right. Well, no, I mean, it doesn't have to be like that, but it could be a totally different character. Just happens they just happen to look like Echevarria. I think that would continue the mystery, or it can just be something that you guys figure out, even though Gus, maybe didn't make it to the finish line. But anyways, I think it's fine. I think I mentioned early on that your party in this campaign might end up taking the form of more of something like a society than just a static group of people. so like maybe the people who start the race are not the ones who all make it to the end. Maybe some of them do, but they got to start dropping at some point. And
some OGs.
Well,
Yeah.
our sanity is dropping quite precipitously. That
Right.
that encounter with Gulksamal and getting to him actually knocked a few people down to some red zones.
it's pretty tough to make it through that sequence without dipping into like the -2 sanity territory.
Yeah.
Wait, you mean stability, right? -2 sanity would be real bad.
Well, no. So once you get to -6 stability, you would lose. So when you get below negative,
He means
when you get to
losing-
0,
It means losing
stability.
2 sanity, I think.
you take a sanity
Okay,
damage.
that's
When
what I'm
you get-
saying. Is you
yeah.
said -2 sanity, and to me, because you can actually be at -2 stability, right?
Right.
Okay, right.
But
No,
you
I
can't
meent
be
like
at -2 sanity.
Don't
I
worry,
meant
guys.
that your
It's just
stability
the
gets so
GM.
low
He's
that you're
not
going to
supposed
lose.
to know the rules. It's fine.
We have Nick for that.
I'm getting
Oh,
old.
great. That's a scary thought. How about the peanut gallery? I mean, you, especially you, Harvey and Fritz, you didn't quite know Gus as long, or your characters didn't quite have as much of a connection because you guys weren't there, from the beginning to sort of tie together. How did you feel about him being there in the first place?
What do you mean being there in the first place?
Well, I mean, with his Echevarria connection, right? I mean, you come in and we tell you, like, oh, there's this guy in the group who looks exactly like the leader of the cult we're hunting down. Like, that's
well,
gotta
we
be
actually,
weird.
both of us were there when we
Uh,
kind of discovered that.
Oh, were you? Okay.
Yeah.
Not
I mean,
originally.
the-
Not
the
when we got the
sketchy-
suspicion, but when we confirmed it, I guess.
The sketchy one was clearly Harvey, because I believe when I came in, he had just finished burning important evidence or something
Yep.
like that. So,
There was a big fight over that, I recall.
There's still a huge question mark above his loyalty.
yeah.
They're on to me.
No question mark above Gus's loyalty. That one is cemented.
Well, except
he's
for like
back
the
where
time
he
you
belongs.
stabbed people, like,
Well, yeah,
Wait. Did he
was
stab anyone other than Harvey?
yeah, he also like punched Richard Sterling, I think.
yeah,
All
but
right,
it's
so
Richard
again,
Sterling.
loyalty cemented.
I think I pulled a gun on Richard Sterling. I'm not sure I actually
Okay.
punched him.
Richard Sterling's like practically an NPC at this point, anyway.
I mean, if Richard Sterling shows up and he's like, "Guys, no violence," we'll just be like,
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, it seems like if Richard Sterling attempts to reappear at our next location, he probably won't make it. Michael, it sounds like, has decided to leave Richard Sterling behind, probably to pursue his career or whatever it is he wants to do. I guess we'll have to hear from him, and take up the mantle of another gentleman in our story, and we'll see.
good.
We'll see how that goes.
I have a feeling I know who this is.
I have a feeling you do too. So I want to ask you guys a question about the Yucatan. I want to know if you guys have anything you feel like you would have done differently on your characters. And I think, Gus, you're simply banned from saying that the one thing you would have done differently is sacrificing yourself for the human race.
I
You gotta
had
come up with something else.
I had a chance to not after I did.
That's true. That's
I think
true.
I volunteered and
Let our
then
other volunteers-
confirmed.
Well, I guess now that I know everything turned out okay, I'm sad I let my rat go in the jungle.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
That was
That is a
pretty
big loss.
devastating to me,
Yeah.
actually. I guess technically that was the first member of our party to leave us.
I was going to
Yeah,
say,
but
the
this-
real question is, if the rat had still been there, would Gulksamal have accepted the rat's sacrifice?
Would Goksamal have
Is
been
there
speaking
difference to
us rat
him
thoughts?
between
Yeah.
a person and a rat?
Right.
Well, right. I mean, I hadn't thought about it, but like, there's probably basically no difference to him,
Right.
right? Like,
He was
That
so
would have
far
been
beyond
the
us.
greatest thing ever.
Yeah, here, all right, sure.
would Harvey have let the rat go?
I was going to say, I don't think Harvey would have been like, yeah, here, sure. He would have been like, no, listen, can we push Pablo in there?
One of
Got no
one of
connection
Harvey's
to Pablo.
tenets is great sacrifices must be made for scientific progress is paramount. Patriotism requires sacrifice. So he believes in needing to give shit
He's
up.
willing to send
Yeah.
a horde of rats to their untimely deaths if that's what
So
it is.
Harvey would have been like, listen, you can have the rat, but can I have it back afterwards, for science?
Analyze.
Well, I can tell you guys that Kitty Kennedy only had one real regret, I think, in the Yucatan, and that is the way that she sort of comported herself around the town. I can't recall what it's called off the top of my
Merida.
head.
Rita?
Merida, yeah. When we first got to Merida, I think Kitty was a little sort of shell shocked still, and trying to sort of become this person who just gets business done because we've got to save the world. But she's looking back on it and wishing that she'd kept a little bit of her, the upper class that she pretends to have and wants to have. That she'd kept a little more of that. We met De La Vega, and that was good for her to have a fine meal with a fine gentleman. But she made a few gaffes, like miss toasting with Pablo Garza in the bar, and she kind of wishes that she had been a little more relaxed and on the money around there instead of running around shoving her, negotiation in people's faces.
Okay.
Fair enough.
I don't know. Anybody else have anything that was, you feel like you want to change about your character from Yucatan, or something you wish had happened to your character? We got to give our GM ideas.
I kind of wish Damon threw Santiago to Goxamal.
I think we all know that. I think the real problem is if you had done it, Michael would have to make a new character to play. And so...
Well, the problem is that Damon has nothing against Santiago. I do, so that's why I wish.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Damon is whatever, Kitty's boyfriend. Who cares, right? I'm I hate Santiago.
He's a smooth talking lounge singer, man. He's
definitely a communist. Definitely.
Oh, well, that's true too. Yes.
That's okay. That's okay this time.
I mean,
isn't it okay at any time? I'm cool with it.
Well, I actually messed something up. Goxamal was supposed to give you a particular piece of information that was maybe supposed to kind of make things worth it.
He was supposed to tell you which one of us to sacrifice, and he fucked up.
No, he was supposed to tell you the actual name of the liar from beyond. And I think I just gave you the clue that the Maw of the Mouth is in the Devouring Mountain again.
Yes.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So I'll have to figure some way to slip that back in. But that was supposed to be the sort of golden nugget at the end of that.
I don't have that written down. What is it? The Maw of the Mouth something?
Devouring Mountain.
Devouring Mountain.
But that was
that
in
mountain
one of the
we heard
journals, right? Or letters.
Yeah,
or
we've
something.
had that since the
couple of times,
Mexico
right?
City.
There was
That's
something
in Mexico City.
There was something on the crappy mural inside the hidden room in John Brooks's penthouse. I think about that.
I think in the lair. But he's supposed to give you the true name of the liar.
Oh.
So
and we did find out that
Get back to
that
Marita.
Maria-
There's a telegram there
No,
From Godzilla.
from Goxamal.
Hey guys.
It's actually
Name of the liar.
It's a long
Stop.
time to figure
It's
out 'cause
John.
It's
Stop.
just gonna be drawings of our thoughts, and we're gonna have to figure out how that means anything.
How does it all make you
I'm sure
feel?
I'll leverage your guys' knowledge of the Zoltzo language now, probably in some of the books or something.
There you go.
Okay.
But anyways, that's what I wish I had done differently, because that's sort of the like I said, the treasure.
I feel like
so.
Gus died for nothing now.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Gus knew that he died for nothing.
Well, no. So I mean, that's not true, because you guys know the spell to commune with Golgoroth should you choose to. That's a pretty potent piece of knowledge.
Hey man, what are you doing?
That's summoning
Wait.
Golgoroth.
Golgoroth.
That's true.
Not Goxamal?
So
guys, are we bored? Should we just?
Wait, so what's the
summon
Golgoroth,
Golgoroth?
Golgoroth distinction?
Yeah.
I think one's a place, right?
Yeah. So there. I'll give you the full top down. The reality is that Golgoroth is the name of the entity, the fisher from outside, and Goxamal is the moon on which he lives. There are more than one source in the game that are confused about that distinction. So it's not surprising that you guys are also confused.
Yeah, we've been.
But that is the truth.
We went to.
Goxamal was one of the places on that train,
Yeah,
or maybe the only place.
Especially the Western sources in some of the books are not don't understand the distinction or whatnot.
Interesting.
So here's a
Yes.
question about as far as
Go for it.
right, forming a society. I mean, certainly the party is fairly well established at this point, right? Everybody's kind of hunting for the truth, but I wonder if that's something that should be formalized in some way.
Just so that every new character that comes in, we don't have to like convince them that.
Well, we also
You could
already
have some
have
kind of
characters who are
highly sexualized initiation process.
Lots of nectar,
Well, he
gallons
really
and
is
gallons of
Etchevari.
nectar.
Of all this
That's
nectar in
like
these paddles.
literally what you had to do to get into Etchevari's cult was like perform some kind of weird sex act with him.
Yeah.
Saying why throw away all that research?
I mean, I feel like we've still got some interesting people that, I mean, I don't know whether they're all or any of them even are going to come into play, but if some of us are picked off and we need to play other people, we've already got some folks that we can sort of drag in without as much trouble as just some guy off the street, right? We have Frank Kearns and Janet Winston Rogers. We have Edgar Job, technically, and the crazy doctor that was running the insane asylum he's at.
If I play Frank Kearns, do I get to just like sleep
Yep.
and not come to the sessions?
Yeah.
I'll stay on the plane, guys. This is
But
what Gus
just know
should
that
have
the
done.
next time we need a sacrifice, Frank is going first, and then you'll need a new character again. So it's going to be a short-lived hiatus.
It's one of those
for
things. The pilot always dies.
you. Yeah. Well, the pilot has already died once.
So anyway, something to consider. The other thing I guess that would be kind of nice to settle on is where the party's headed next.
Yep. That's basically the thing we need to talk about is where shall we go?
Also,
My
Dr. Keaton.
understanding from my close inside sources, my understanding is that you could more or less say that we're like 50% of the way through the story, and that we have a lot to choose from, but there's plenty of time to do the societal integration and stuff. Just to your point, I mean, I think it would be fine to address it sort of as we get back into something, especially depending on where we go.
It could also happen like off camera, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, why don't you remind us, unless you're giving anything away, what our options are right now for where to go?
Right. So you guys have the ledger of Nectar production, which mentions both.
Bangkok,
Thailand.
Yeah, Bangkok, Thailand, and
Ethiopia.
Malta.
Oh,
Malta.
Malta.
I don't think it mentions Ethiopia.
But we
you
got that
do
from
have-
Ayers.
Yeah, when you visited George Ayers' office
right.
That was the
in
professor.
L.A., he had his itinerary, which led to Ethiopia.
Yeah, Andrew. He was the guy who was supposed to be at UCLA. And we went to see him, and he hadn't been there for 10 years or something like that. Somebody.
He's not been here for 10 years.
Yeah, basically that kind of thing. So Malta, Thailand, Ethiopia. Another third one you said that the ledger initially described. There's a lot of places to go. I guess part of it depends on what we think we're accomplishing next, right? I mean, we have maybe sort of more of a purpose. We've essentially been asked to kill the liar, and if we knew the liar's true name, maybe it would make this decision easier. I'm not sure.
Well, the cults that are proliferating the liars' lies are mostly based in LA and Mexico City, right? And that's where most of the nectar is being distributed. So maybe that's the next logical lead.
So
There's
to
definitely-
follow the nectar trail, you mean?
Yeah.
But
There's
so then
definitely.
we
I mean,
have
that's
three.
the ledger. That's the ledger, right? So that's Malta and Bangkok. Those are the next cult stops.
I guess
Yeah.
I mean, if we have
Let's split up, then.
if we want to go to Ethiopia at some point, not that we have to, but Malta is kind of on the way, a little bit.
That would be my thought. Is we can go to Malta, and then from there it's easy to go to Ethiopia. It's easy to track down heirs.
Yeah. Now, you guys are probably about as far from Bangkok as you are from Malta, the other direction.
That's
maybe.
probably about true. I mean,
Right, I mean,
it's a bit of a hike either way, whether you go east or west. I guess the question
Yeah.
is whether we want to do Ethiopia, in which case we could go to Malta, have the option to jet down to Ethiopia and see if Ayers is, being roasted on a spit somewhere in the middle of the jungle before we make our way to Bangkok.
I mean, we could also just hop in the pyramid and hope it takes us one of those places much faster than than a plane would. You know.
No.
Didn't we like
No.
essentially do the
Oh, yeah.
circuit?
Yeah. I
We
think
got
so.
ported in time too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, the George Ayers thing in Ethiopia is pretty interesting, but I think that the point is correct. Maybe that following up as fast as we can on the trail of the cult by going to Bangkok or Malta is probably the next thing. That would be my vote. Is definitely at least for one of those two.
So Malta is about 5 hours closer than, about 4 hours closer than
All right. Well, we
But
want to
what?
say 4 hours, don't
than
we?
Bangkok.
By what?
I
Is that just
get
by
it, right?
today's
They're on an urgent
standard?
mission to save
Yeah,
the
by
world.
today's standards. Like back
Right,
then, they were going
exactly.
200 miles an hour. And, like you're in a fucking
It was
four
probably an
project.
extra like day or two of travel.
Yeah, so that was actually my question. Like, what sort of like passenger jets really existed in 1934? Like, there was definitely no commercial airlines.
Well, we've
around
got-
there.
There
You guys
was
have a
the
plane.
very earliest
Yeah.
versions of passenger, and they weren't jets at that point. Certainly,
Yeah.
They were not jets, right?
they were
No,
not
no,
jets. No,
No,
jets
they were
don't come
prop.
about until after World War II, or at the very end of World War II, anyways.
Right.
So
Nitrogen.
they're like propeller airplanes,
Okay.
and not very large ones. They would probably seat 30 to 40 people, and would be mostly the domain of the wealthy. But there was commercial air travel, just not for like. I imagine if you were to do it, for a regular person, getting to Malta would probably involve some train rides and
Boats.
several boats.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we essentially just have access to a private
Yep.
plane. That's
Mhm.
just
But can the party just go back? If we were transported back in time, is that going to cause a problem to all of a sudden show up?
Steam
well,
their
yes. So
plane?
that's the thing. We were transported like 3 days back in time or something like that.
It might not be a problem.
I mean,
Yeah, you'll just
I-
show up the next day and be like,
We
We're
checked it
done.
out. It's done.
It was fine. Everything's fine.
let's go,
Don't
Frank.
ask about the porters.
yeah. Also, let's never talk about that time travel ever again because
No, it's fine.
it confuses us.
No, it makes perfect sense.
Oh, okay. You're right. I forgot. Everything's fine. It's one of those like paradox correcting.
No, because the other group will never come back with the plane.
right,
Yeah.
So it's totally
because
fine.
you are the other group, and
We
you
know
are
what
the
they
other
did.
time.
I'm just gonna leave it-
Paradox
I'm just
solved.
gonna
But
leave
what?
it-
And we
Alright.
never
What about when they
spoke of
arrive?
it again.
Yeah, let's
We
just
never spoke of it again.
Right.
They just did arrive, Andrew.
Okay, well, anyways.
But so either way, we're gonna have to get to our plane. I guess it's probably not that hard. I don't know, Kevin, whether it matters to you, whether you've thought about it. But I assume we could just basically start the next, whenever the next segment is, with us on our way there or already there.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. So I guess the decision doesn't necessarily have to be made now. But does anybody want to weigh in with like a final vote? I mean, I'm up for Malta, definitely.
I'd vote for Malta.
Malta's fine.
Malta's fine, yeah.
Malta it is, sounds like.
All right. I mean, unless Santiago disagrees and wants to go.
Nobody
to, like,
cares about
Peter-
Santiago. Let's go to Malta.
Yeah, Santiago votes for your
Santiago doesn't
president.
get a vote.
He goes with the
Get it.
collective, guys.
Yeah.
Santiago, do you want to take a private plane ride to Malta? Yeah, let's go.
See. Awesome. All right. Well, I guess that's the decision. Anybody with any final comments or thoughts on the Yucatan or our Eternal Lies in general?
Mechanics wise, what are we doing? Are we refreshing all of our pools and getting additional points? How is this working?
Yeah, so what I would say is refresh your pools, refresh your stability. Think about the rules are supposed to be that you need to like interact with your sources of stability in order to refresh your stability pools. We've done that a couple times,
I got
kind
mine on the
of,
plane with me.
and it's getting kind of tedious, I think, to go through them all. So when we start next time, we might just do a quick like, you tell me what you did, and if you want to go into more detail, like that's fine. If you just want to say like I talked to my mom, then like, all right, that's fine. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it. So refresh. You all guys also get the same thing we did for the last two locations. So you're going to get 2 investigative points to add to any investigative skills. And you can trade each of those investigative points for 1 for 2 for general abilities. Right? So,
It's something I've never done in between the other like 3 locations. I kind of have to think about that. Think about
so you either get 2 investigative points, 1 investigative point, and 2 general points, or 4 general points.
And so this boosts the max, right? So we're going to refresh all the generals and investigatives up to their current max, and then we'll boost some of the maxes by these things.
Sure, yeah.
That sounds about right.
Awesome.
So
Anybody else?
I might then like roll some kind of like fixer or guide or something like that maybe could
Pablo Garza?
be procured or the party can hook up with in Malta.
Okay.
A Maltese guide. Very nice.
Yeah.
It's a small island.
World traveler of some kind. Yeah, that sounds fine. Just try to think about the drive, right? If we definitely want a drive that will propel you forward to the mythos.
Yeah.
Inexorably, without remission.
I guess it's possible.
Unremitting.
Maybe he's seen some shit or heard some shit already.
That's true too. Yeah. Since we're this far into the campaign, I think there are more options open for people who have had some contact with the mythos, like
Maybe it was
not
that guy down in the orgy pit in LA who like escaped the explosion. That
No,
one.
I mean like a former cultist is an option, or someone who has been a part of maybe a different cult, or someone who's more initiated with the mythos in some ways could be an option. Maybe Janet Winston Rogers uses her connections to like really get to like the seedy underbelly of like who knows what in this world.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind bringing her back in, especially if we're even off camera. If we do this like society kind of thing, getting her to go beyond like, okay, well, you told me about my dad, and now I don't really care anymore. Like, maybe we should get her and her money and connections on board with saving the world.
Right. Well, so also a lot of the NPCs that have been in the campaign would be open. I think if anybody was interested in playing them. Frank Kern's obviously not the most interesting character, but Janet Winston Rogers could be a character. There's been several detectives along the way.
One of those 2 guys that rolled up a dead body in the rug back in LA.
Yeah, we let those guys off.
Yeah, we did.
The dead body in the rug.
What about De La Vega?
I think De La Vega would be sweet.
De La Vega would not be an option.
Also, way better than
De La
Santiago.
Vega's coming back. De La Vega's part is not done, boys.
Is
De La
it
Vega
said
confirmed.
he's not an option? Is his other name the Liar?
Well, so since I guess it doesn't actually matter either way at this point. I think if I had a second regret, it would be that I was not able to forge the link between the ambush and De La Vega.
Oh.
De La
I mean,
Vega is the estate owner that we moved across the
Mhm.
land. Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't there for that.
Oh.
It was his land and his banditos that.
I want to be Francis Hickering, the Henslow estate caretaker.
Well, first you got to get rid of Damon Smoke, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean
That's
that's okay
easy.
with that.
Crazy shit.
That's okay with
I
that.
mean, he
I
would be
tried.
a
I'll be
character.
Professor Ayres as he emerges from the Ethiopian
I
jungle
think Francis was a little bit slow
as
and like,
king of the natives.
old. A little bit, maybe a dangerous person to play. Who knows?
But I thought it was an interesting idea, saying that like maybe we should formalize the society, because I mean it seems clear to me. I don't know what the over/under is on every character in the party, but it seems clear to me that I don't think Gus Allen will be the final body to hit the floor.
Casualty.
Wait, what?
He thinks more of us are gonna get knocked out as time goes on. There's plenty of time left. Plenty of people with way low sanity, and
I mean, like consider if you guys do another 3 locations, do you think Kitty's sanity is going to last through 3 more
Surprised it's
climactic
lasted
encounters?
this far. I mean,
What is Kitty's sanity at? Because I don't think it's been updated on
Kitty's sanity is 3 out of 8, I believe.
her. Like max was 9, so
I think. Oh, I don't know. On my character sheet, the max has always been 8.
well, you're
Okay.
the one like heathen that doesn't use the Google Docs. So.
I guess I mean, has Damon never lost a sanity?
I don't use Google Docs. I use the one that's built into
He's
the.
the other heathen.
I'm busy taking notes on the other goddamn pages.
Guys, all right, listen. At least in between the chapters, go through and update like your main stats and things like that.
All right. Perhaps
Because it
I
is
will.
actually, it's useful for seeing like what skills we actually have as a party.
Yeah.
This
But-
will be the test of whether or not Michael chooses to keep abreast and pay attention. So the secret is that when Kitty finally leaves, I'm going to come back as Richard Sterling. Just absolutely like blow his mind.
Good
So,
call.
Well, but the point is, Alex, that like if Kitty has 3 sanity left, and assume maybe that there are perhaps 3 more climactic encounters at the end of each of these
Yeah.
locations. If she only loses a single sanity in each of them, she will be insane. You know,
But
What do you got?
if
Once
she
you
only
go
loses
through
a
that-
single sanity in each of them, then she'll make it and go insane at the very end, right? So you
Well,
will meet a new
assuming-
character.
assuming that these 3 locations are the would be
Why,
the
why don't we put it this way?
True.
I myself, and my intimate knowledge of Kitty Kennedy, would tell you it's highly unlikely she'll make it. I wouldn't even be really that convinced she'll make it past.
If
the
we're
next-
going to Malta, we could really just stop by the insane asylum on the way there, in Atlanta, and drop her off.
What if it's like 8 boat rides out of our way? We haven't figured that out yet.
We have a private plane, haven't we? Already determined that.
All right, so we're heading to Malta. Hopefully, everyone think good thoughts about the last member of our party being able to join us for the first time in quite a while. I don't think he's been around since the first session of Mexico City, perhaps. So
Yeah, basically.
for those fans out there who've really been missing the toe-headed wonder, he is perhaps on his way back. And we shall see. But unless anybody has any further thoughts or comments that are pressing, I think that's about it for this breakdown and this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for playing. Thank you, Kevin, as always, for doing the GM. I guess, we like to give you a hard time, but you've been a real trooper doing it this long.
It wouldn't be a role-playing adventure without giving the DM a hard
yeah.
time.
Hard time.
That's true. And I personally don't think we always give quite enough credit to all of our let's just call them the multitude of friends at Pelgrane Press, especially, who have essentially made this possible, because Eternalize has been quite enjoyable so far. So we will see what happens. Any idea when we're returning to it, Kevin?
So we're gonna do something else in the for next week. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be Eclipse Phase, and then after we finish Eclipse Phase, I kind of feel like I want to go back to Trail of Cthulhu, but the other option is to return to the Distant Shore.
Oh, the Distant Shore.
It also has to do with how my house search goes. I kind of don't want to be running Distant Shore while I'm buying a house. It sounds like that would be a little more difficult since that's like homebrew. But maybe it doesn't make a difference. I don't know. Anyways, I'm thinking possibly after we finish the next Eclipse Phase adventure.
Okay. Well, that
Cool.
would be probably a good enough time, but I can't lie. I would like to play Oliver Constantine again sometime soon. It would not hurt me.
What about Luigi?
Well,
Jean-Luigi to you, sir.
Costenta is
They never
Exploded
found his
without
body.
his
a little bit no more, unless he comes back as like a robot NPC. We still have.
Oh
got
well,
rocket
I think that needs to happen no matter what.
I mean, yeah, it's been
I'm not sure how
so
that's
many
gonna happen, but
times
I'm-
that the audience would revolt if it didn't occur.
Cyborg Barry?
Exactly. Yeah.
What was that
But-
other
but
Luigi?
So much worse.
Yeah.
Waluigi de la Costenta will be
Oh god.
returning.
All right, well, we should wind
Get
this
out.
up because
Why
it's
is this
entirely
still going?
I
Yeah.
think
Everybody-
it's
off
for the
button.
end.
Everybody, we apologize that the breakdown was edited down to about 30 seconds of just like voice testing and then giving up on it. So, if you were watching us on Twitch, we're sorry, but we applaud you. But check out the YouTube, and if you've been watching this on YouTube, check out the Twitch sometime. We're live basically every Tuesday from 7:30 onwards, and we'll see you guys again soon. Have a good night.